Huge thanks to OK Jazzy. They're your go-to for the 2026 World Cup and an incredible retro archive. They've got decades of iconic league classics, from legendary 90s designs to the rarest club heritage kits. Whether it's a high-performance player version or a timeless vintage look, prices start at just £15, 4.5 Trustpilot rating and fast shipping. Use code Chris for 8% off and grab your piece of football history now.
Hi everyone, hope you're well. My name is Chris Cowlin and this is another edition of the Spurs Chat Podcast. We'll be talking about Tottenham's game this evening, 1-1 draw at home at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against Leeds United. Matisse Tell putting Spurs 1-0 up after 50 minutes and Dominic Calvert-Lewin making it 1-1 after 74 minutes from the penalty spot. Now, we're live on YouTube, live on X and Facebook. Please do get involved. Let us know how you are feeling right now. Spurs are 2 points above West Ham. It is either going to be Spurs or West Ham to be relegated in less than 2 weeks' time. Before this game, Spurs had a 12% chance of going down. West Ham had an 88% chance of going down. Spurs, of course, have 2 games left, away at Chelsea and at home against Everton. West Ham also have 2 games left, away at Newcastle on Sunday, St James's Park, and then their final game, Leeds at home at the London Stadium. Let us know how you're feeling about that. Let us know how you think it's going to go, Spurs or West Ham to be relegated. Now, as per usual, we've got 3 channel regulars with us. We'll say a quick hello and then we'll get into the game. Ricky, how are you?
I'm here, mate. I'm here. We'll jump in. We'll do the damn thing. Good to be on with you beautiful gentlemen and all you beautiful people around the world. Let's get in. Let's break it down. Aye.
Yep, I feel exactly the same. Leigh Baker is also back with us from New York. Leigh, how are you?
Nerves completely shredded. Nervous wreck. But it's nice to be here. So hopefully we'll find some positives after that little malarkey.
Dustin Lau is also back with us from Singapore. Dustin, good morning to you.
Morning. It's therapy time.
It is indeed. I must say there were a lot of boos at the end of the at the final whistle, and they were all for the match officials because again they had a terrible game. And I know, Ricky, we have spoken a lot about match officials this season. Ricky, let's start the show with you. Give us your thoughts on that performance and the result this evening.
It's a tough one to take. I felt that we went into the game to, build off of that performance from Aston Villa. I thought there was a lot of intensity, a lot of energy, a lot of want. You could see there was a lot of fight today. And I feel that we was in the ascendancy. We was dominant. We felt like the team that was gonna go on to score and go on to win. It felt like that for so long. Matisse Tell had a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde game today. There was moments that, he messed up and then, he had a great goal and then, he messed up again and gave away a pen, and that was hard to take. And the tide turned, once that penalty was awarded. Leeds were on it. You can see Leeds came to play today. You can see that there was something about them that wanted to win. I don't expect them to roll over, but definitely there was a thing in them that wanted to win today. So you can't have it all your own way, but we did have the opportunities. It's tough because this particular game was an opportunity to just create a little bit of a gap and give us a little bit of a cushion, and keep it in our hands. And it's just a shame that another home game goes by where it doesn't happen for us. And look, the positive is that we did come away with a point and Maddison came onto the field. For me, it was a 100% a penalty. But, the one thing the Premier League is consistent in is not giving us nothing. We haven't had a penalty at all, have we, the whole season? And I don't know how long that goes back. But we did have the opportunities in our hands. That Richarlison opportunity where all he had to do was really get it onto target. We did go on to create chances, and we did continue to push, but there's part of that game where we're also lucky to come away with a 1-1. 1-1 feels undeserved. 1-1 feels like a bit of a loss, but then Leeds had their moments and their breakaways towards the end of it, and they could have got a winner, if not for Kinski in the bar. So it is one of those where it's just, it continues to just be a really hard slog. And sometimes I really hate football, boys. I'm telling you, boys and ladies across the world, sometimes I hate it, man. Sometimes it just puts you through it. And it's a lot of stress, boys. It's a lot of stress. So we're still in it. We've still got it. We've still got some work to do. There are some positives there. We are playing football. We are relying on football, and the set pieces are the icing on the cake. So there are positives there. You can see that there's a will. You can see that they are united. You can see that they're together. It's just a shame that they couldn't do it tonight in front of that beautiful tifo, in front of that crowd that roared them on, and give us that jubilation that we was all craving tonight. So we're still in it. We're going to the final game, gents. We know what we got up next, but it's one of those, man. It's a very come see come saw game. It's just another opportunity missed. But you can't just dwell on the bad, because there were some good. And if it wasn't for De Zerbi, I don't think we would have been in it at all. I think we would have been way out of it. So we are still in it. We just got to fight and continue this fight.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Ricky, because that is a huge positive. Because in our last 4 games, we've actually picked up 8 points, 2 wins and 2 draws. Of course, the 2 wins came away from home against Wolves and Aston Villa, and the draws against Brighton and Leeds this evening. Very quickly before we move on to Leigh, what's your gut telling you at the moment? We're 2 points above West Ham, 2 games to go. How do you call these results? Newcastle away for West Ham, and then, of course, a couple of days later, we travel to Stamford Bridge. We have won Stamford Bridge once in the last 36 years. That was 2018 under Pochettino. Of course, goals from Ericsson and Dele Alli. And then West Ham face Leeds United at home. And at the same time, we face Everton at home. What's your gut telling you, Rick?
My gut's telling me, especially after that Gooner game for the Hammers, that the wider narrative really would like us to go down across the general broad thing, and you can kind of feel that happening. You can see that West Ham had a lot of fight in them. They've had a lot of fight since they picked up the result against us, and they've actually been doing relatively well. I think it's going to be tough. I think Newcastle are in a tough position right now. It's their last home game. Eddie Howe's under a lot of pressure. But I think West Ham are not going to drop their heads at all. I think tonight's result gives them a little bit of a boost and lets them know that they're still in it. And the way that they're fighting and moving, and the way that they're behind their manager as well, and have been for a while, it's going to be a tough game at Newcastle for them. This, for us, though, it's like the next game is Chelsea. And like you said there about the stats, it's just one that just does my nut in. It always does my nut in this game. When we've been deserved of a result there, we still haven't come away with it. When we've had all our players fit, we still haven't come away with it. When we know that the VAR and certain things ain't on our side, and when you go looking for it, especially at Stamford Bridge, bro, it doesn't normally go our way at the best of times. So it's going to take a lot of effort. It's going to take us, taking it by the scruff of the neck and making it happen, and not relying on anything. We can't rely on a bad Chelsea. We know they'd love to send us down. We know that they're going to play like prime Brazil against us. We know that. We know that their crowd's going to be behind it and baying for blood, and would love to walk away laughing and joking, and rubbing it in that game. But it's up to us, man. We need a bit of a miracle performance to go there and get something out. But it's, that's what these moments are made for. We had a cup final last year that we got over the line with, and where we was decimated through injuries, etc., and it's going to be one of those. It literally is. It's going to be one of those where most of the things are going to be against us, but it's going to be in our hands to take our moments and to make those moments count, and to try and take the decisions away from the refs and the VAR. When it comes down to the last game of the season, Chris, I think that's going to be difficult as well. I think by that time, Leeds, even though they'd have a couple of players back, part of me feels that they won't really be anything in it for them to play for. I think they'll, I don't see them really kind of turning up against West Ham, is the way that I'm feeling. And then with Everton, with us, I think it's a tough game. Moisey's got them pretty solid and structured, and they're enjoying playing, and they've had a couple of players, develop this year, and it's always a tough game, but it is a winnable game. Again, it's down to us, mate. It is all down to us. It's about what we can do next. Tonight's a kick in the teeth, and we've been kicked all over the shop the whole season. It's about the character of those boys, which I believe there is a lot of character in them. It's about the character of them boys. It's about that management team, getting them firing, getting them going, getting them believing again, keeping their heads up, and go out there to do the good things that we have done tonight, and we did do against Villa, and keep tweaking, keep perfecting. There was too many times tonight where balls were overplayed. There was either too short or too long at pivotal moments, and we've got to get that right against Chelsea, and then we've got a chance. But this is what it's about, man. Like Dustin said in the green room earlier, just before we started, we don't do things the hard way. The easy way. We never have done it the easy way. We've always done it the hard way. So we're going to have to go and do it the hardest way possible against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. But you know what? We are Tottenham, Super Tottenham. So this is your moment, boys. This is your moment. Tell you can bring it back. Gallagher, you're against your old side that couldn't wait to push you out the door. Go and be that player. Do you know what I mean? Go and grab not only the winner, but the first one too. Hopefully Solanke's back against Chelsea as well, so we've got a few more options. Maddison will be back. Hopefully he'll get a few more minutes, and he's determined to have an effect on the game and in this relegation race. So it's in our hands, but I'm done with getting kicked in the teeth and in the bottom as well, bro. I'm done with it. Something needs to fall our way at some point.
Yeah, I feel the same, Ricky. I feel very frustrated about that result and performance today, because it was a real opportunity to go 4 points above West Ham and really, really put the pressure on them going to Newcastle on Sunday. Roberto De Zerbi, talking to the BBC, has just said we didn't play a great game. We played a good game. I think we deserved to win anyway, but maybe the pressure, the crucial game, the crucial part of the season, we suffered too much. Anyway, I'm happy because I watched my players with the right spirit, with the right mentality. We made too many mistakes. If we want to win, we have to reduce the amount of mistakes that we are making. But we know before this game, it was tough until the end of the season, until the last game. It is tough for us, but also tough for everyone. Leigh, let's come to you. Let's get your thoughts on today's game and result.
I mean, it was a tough one. Obviously, I don't want to gloss over it, because as everyone said, if we won today, I think we were there and pretty much. But if you can't win, you've got to pick up a point in any of these relegation fights. Even if we end up on level points with West Ham, our goal difference will help us. I think what made me a bit nervous was the beginning, and I'm sure Dustin will talk to this a bit perhaps, but when Leeds went man for man on us, I think it totally exposed our lack of creativity, because I think against Villa, we seemed to get the overloads on the wings. We seemed to have a lot of pace. But as soon as as soon as Leeds went mad for man, we just couldn't really, unless there was someone who was going to beat a man and create space, we always seemed to be blocked off. And so we just started going long and we're a little bit hopeful. So it was a tough one. The first half was terrible. Second half was a little bit more encouraging. I do think it is a point gained. I think under Tudor, definitely, and under Frank, probably we lose that game, because Kingsley makes 2 saves, one of them. I've got Liverpool, United, and Chelsea friends texting me saying that's the save of the season. So, and they hate us. So there were some bright sparks, and I'm pleased for him, pleased for Maddison, but I think it's a game we could have lost, and I think Leeds showed up and they made it tough. So as sad as I am, I think this may well be a point that is super valuable.
Leigh, Spurs need 4 points, and this is assuming that West Ham win both of their games. Spurs need 4 points. Are you confident that we can get 4 points? Are you confident that Spurs will be a Premier League team next season?
I'm not confident we're going to get 4 points, but I also don't think West Ham are going to win at Newcastle. So then the question is, do they pick up a point there or do they lose? Because if they lose at Newcastle and we pick up, well, I think one more point gets us, the most they could get then would be 3 points. We're 3 points ahead. We'd be on goal difference to stay up. I would love to think we'd get a point at Chelsea, but history tells us that's not happening, to Rick's point. Even though Chelsea are not great right now, they didn't play too bad against Liverpool, as far as I could tell. I think, unfortunately, we're in for an absolute nail biter unless Newcastle do us a favour, and I think that's the space we're in. And so I don't think we'll get 4 points. Maybe we'll get 3 points with a home win against Everton, maybe. But I think we need Newcastle to do us a favour.
Leigh, do you think that there is an advantage for Spurs, or do you think there's an advantage for West Ham playing first? Because, of course, they play on the Sunday. We play away at Chelsea a couple of days later on the Tuesday.
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, if they lose, I mean, it's an amazing advantage for us. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I suppose there's a point where you're saying get something on the board, but I don't know that we do well under pressure, and maybe if we were playing first, we'd flake. So I think I'm okay with them going first. I'm just really, really hoping that I just can't see them winning at Newcastle. To Ricky's point, like, Howe's under a lot of pressure. It's their last home game. It could easily be a draw. And I think under the circumstances after what happened yesterday with Arsenal, which, let's face it, was a horrible watch for everybody. But I think if we've had any luck, it may have been yesterday, because that was a travesty, to be honest. But no, so I think maybe going second is probably about right.
Dustin, let's come to you. Let's get your thoughts on today's performance and result.
It's soul crushing, isn't it? I think in light of everything else that we've been through this season, normally this would be something that we would look at and go, this is depressing. But the bright side I can give to this is we haven't lost a player to a season-ending injury. We haven't got red cards. We've had a young player score an amazing goal, but then have a brain fart and do something completely unnecessary to cost us the game. But we also had Kinski come back from a morale-destroying game at Atletico Madrid, pretty much cement his place with his composure on the ball, maybe pull off the save of the season. So I think that there are things you can look at and go, it's not the end of the world, even though it might feel like it at that point. I want to look at the Chelsea game with a different tack, which is, I know our record there is terrible. I know every time that we've needed something from Chelsea and we've gone there in form, we've just completely capitulated. But it's time that we change this narrative, because every time we've had a downfall, it's been Chelsea. When Ange was, having the best record in the league, we went to Chelsea, had 2 men sent off, had our entire season crumble in one game, right? When we pushed Leeds, Leicester all the way, the next season we were strong again, and then Chelsea somehow won that season. In the Champions League, when Chelsea were out of it, they somehow beat Bayern Munich and take our Champions League spot. Too many times we've been on the losing end, with Chelsea being like the orchestrators of our demise. We need to switch this around and just go to Stamford Bridge and fucking crush them.
Dustin, how confident are you that Spurs will be a Premier League team next season?
At this point, it's very difficult to make any predictions with confidence. The only thing I can say is that with the trajectory that we are having under Roberto De Zerbi, when there are players back, you can see what he's trying to do, and you can see that he's the right style of manager for the football we want to play. The only question is, we've got 2 games left to save our season. We've got so many injuries. We've had our only creative player just come back, and he's clearly not fit enough to play the full 90. And against Villa, we did relatively well, but Villa were not playing their first team, and therefore the chemistry wasn't there. They weren't able to play that the way they normally can, which allowed our higher intensity and, siege mentality to power through that game. But as you've seen against Leeds, who are, relegation rivals, a team that's been playing regularly, and even a team that has nothing to play for, they're a lot more fluent than we are because we have no creative players. We have no creative passes. And that makes us, that's already been a weakness for us. We always struggled to break teams down when they give us possession of the ball or when they're not interested in being the attacking team. So it's exacerbated when that's already been our weakness, breaking teams down. And now we don't even have the creative players to break them down with. So the best I think we can hope for is really Chelsea will take the game to us. They want to relegate us. That might leave gaps for us because, as I've said in previous episodes, I think I feel like we get points from teams that want to attack us rather than teams that are happy to sit in the mid to low block. So we might have more joy against Chelsea than we do against Everton because I don't know if Everton is going to attack us in the same way. I think teams that attack us, especially the way that De Zerbi likes to bait the press, teams that attack us actually play into our hands more. And actually what made Leeds harder to beat this time was that Daniel Farke, since the City game, has actually gone against what his instincts are, which is to play attacking football, and he's actually gone 3 at the back, let's win second balls and be very physical. So that's in a way been why Leeds have done a lot better since the City game, but it's also why their style of play is now our kryptonite as opposed to the way Daniel Farke normally plays, especially when he was like at Norwich.
Dustin, I wonder whether you could just speak for a couple of minutes about Roberto De Zerbi and what he's brought to Tottenham, because as we mentioned, in his 5 games so far as Tottenham Hotspur manager, a draw against Brighton. I know, of course, we got off to a defeat away at Sunderland, but a draw against Brighton, a win at Wolves, the first win in the Premier League for under 18 days. And then, of course, that fantastic win at Aston Villa, the draw tonight. I think Roberto De Zerbi deserves a lot of credit for picking Spurs up this many points because, this could have been done. That 44-day stint under Igor Tudor, which, I describe it as a waste of time. Thomas Frank should have gone out the door a lot sooner as well. But, Roberto De Zerbi, he seems to be getting a tune out of these players. And as Leigh said, if this was under Thomas Frank or Igor Tudor, we'd have probably lost this game tonight.
Oh, 100%. I think that what Roberto De Zerbi's done, and if you put up my slides, I can actually go into a bit more detail on that. Not this one, the other one, the one that says RDZ slides. Yeah. So just basically Roberto De Zerbi, his points per game, you can already see is better than Tudor's and Frank's. The other part about it is that what's actually improved under De Zerbi is the expected goals allowed, which you would think is strange because you think of him as an attacking coach. Why is his XG actually the worst of the 3 coaches, but his XG allowed is actually the best? And part of it is the way that we control tempo when we play under De Zerbi, which is, even though we may not be creating more attacking threat, what's happening is that we're a lot more intentional about our possession. We're controlling the ball. We're trying to win the ball in the opponent's third as opposed to trying to defend deep. And what that does is it does a couple of things quite well, which is we turn over possession in the opponent's half when they're not set up to defend yet. So we don't have to be as creative because they're not in a proper position. So if we push up high and we win the ball in the attacking half, we just have a lot less problems to solve. We don't have to unpick a lock because all our lock pickers are injured. So I think that's what De Zerbi has focused on, which is focused on the high press, focused on making sure that we are coordinated in the way we press, because we did press under Thomas Frank as well, but we didn't press in a very effective way. We pressed in a disorganized way that kind of like we put pressure on teams, but it was not organized. So talking about like, the kind of press that we had a very intense press under De Zerbi. So like our PPDA, which is pressures per defensive action, the lower number is better because it means that the opponent gets less passes before you press them. And De Zerbi's has the most aggressive press at 10.5. So a big part of that is that the way that we've been pressing under De Zerbi is we've been a lot more organized in pressing the ball carrier, but also blocking off the passing lanes of the opposition team. Whereas under Frank, it was a lot of time we were pressing a bit of the passing lanes and a bit of the ball carrier, but not intensely enough. And under Tudor, it was a complete mess. We would just be chasing shadows, trying to block passes, but we can't even reach the ball carrier because the play already bypasses us. So that's kind of like the difference between the three coaches thus far. And essentially, under De Zerbi, I think what's improved the most, and again, we think of it as surprising because we think of him as an attacking coach. He's just made our defensive and in possession play a lot better, and also improved the coordination of the way that we press teams. So yeah, this is from the other video that I did recently, but essentially what we can see is that the PPDA, on-ball share, game control, all these three stats have improved a lot in the Wolves and Aston Villa game. I think we'll find that in this game they've probably dipped a bit because I think Leeds were just a lot more prepared for how we were going to play, and they didn't let us press them, or rather they managed to break the press a few times, and they created a lot more chances than Wolves and Aston Villa managed to.
Thank you for that, Dustin. Right, Ricky. No, he's gone. Dustin, I'll stay with you. Actually, let's go on to the match facts and stats. Spurs had 57% of the ball to Leeds 43%. XG Spurs 1.32. Leeds had 1.26. Shots Spurs had 16. Leeds had 11. Shots on target, Spurs had 3, Leeds had 4. Total touches inside the opposition box, Spurs with 36, Leeds with 13. Goalkeeper saves, Spurs 3, Leeds 1. Aerial duels 1, Spurs 23, Leeds 17. Fouls committed, Spurs 12, Leeds 7. And corners, Spurs had 14 to Leeds 2. Ricky, do you want to add anything about Roberto De Zerbi and the impact that he's had at Spurs?
I think he's amazing, mate. I think if we've got any chance, it's down to him. I really like all my kind of hopes and dreams and prayers were gone after that Nottingham Forest game. And, under Frank, it was just horrific. And then under Tudor, it just didn't get any better. Some would argue it got worse. And to see a manager come in who you can see is a proper Tottenham manager, the way that he talks, the way that he plays, the way that he's woken these players up, giving them a shake, got them to remember who they are, got them to remember what type of players they are, what level to play at. And he hasn't even begun. He's still holding back. And I honestly think that we would have been gone way adrift at this point, because to give credit to West Ham, they have been really in this fight, and they've been fighting hard to try and get out of it. And the only thing that we've been playing for is to be in a different league. But then De Zerbi has turned up, and it's been such a world of difference. You know, Sunderland was unlucky, Brighton was unlucky, today was unlucky. Well, then again, we did get a little bit of luck as well, but not enough. But I think he's been tremendous, and I think that if we needed to take any hope or inspiration, I would put it on his back rather than any individual back, because what he's done so far shows you what he's about, and he is up for this fight, and he is determined to get us out of it. He is seeing how difficult it is with a cockerel on your chest, because, you know, we really don't get many things go our way when it comes down to decisions or penalty decisions or anything like that. But you know what? I think he's one of those people that will say to the players, like, take it out the ref's hands. Like, it's all about us. It's all about the way that we play and we apply, you know, our quality in the game. And I do believe in him right now. So if anybody's going to get us out of it, it's going to be him. But, you know, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be
Ricky,
so difficult. Yes, mate.
One thing you and I always agree on, and that is always focus on us. It's always
Absolutely
about Tottenham. It's never about somebody else. We know that it is either going to be Spurs or West Ham. You know, we don't want to be in a position where we're sitting there hoping and praying that they lose football matches. It's still in our hands. And with 2 games to go, it is still in our hands.
Absolutely. And that's why me personally, I can't do any of the hate watching, or I can't watch any other football, to be fair. I can't watch any team, let alone any team that is facing West Ham right now. It's difficult, man. It is crazy. But like you said, we've got it in our hands. We do have it in our hands. It's down to us. It's about us. It's about us. And as long as they keep remembering that, and as long as De Zerbi keeps, you know, waking them up and keeping the right thoughts in their head rather than woe is me, it's all about, all right, cool. Well, you know, we've got a point. We didn't lose tonight. Let's go make it right. Let's go do the miraculous at Stamford Bridge right now. You know, and why not? Why not? Like Dustin said, it's about time the narrative changed for something. And, you know, we already know, and I think the players will know, that everything will be against us, against Chelsea. But while we've got the ball at our feet, you know, it's in our hands. I know that sounds crazy, innit? While we've got the ball at our feet, it's in our hands. But yeah, it's about us, bro. It's about us, and that's where we got to be at. And yes, tonight, like I said, it's a kick in the teeth. But my goodness, we're still in it. We're not out of it. And let's keep going. Let's keep our heads high. Let's not sour it as much, because we can't bring those boys down. You know what I mean? Like, as much as we can be truthful about what the performance was tonight, and some of the individuals that weren't very, you know, didn't take their opportunities. Let me say, let's still be positive in the sense of we're still in it. And we're still in the fight, and at least those boys are leaving it all out there. You know, all right, sometimes it's not going our way. Sometimes the patterns of play are we're not making it happen. We still do have a nervy gene in us. We still do have a bit of a panic in us. And it's going to be while we're fighting for our lives. But at least they want to fight. Where before De Zerbi turned up, there was nothing left, mate. I didn't see anything. I really didn't. And that was worse than this. At least we're in it now. So let's keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely. Leigh, let's come to you. Let's talk about the starting 11. It was an unchanged starting 11. This was the same side that beat Aston Villa last weekend, 2-1 at Villa Park. Kinski in goal, and then you've got Pedro Porro, Danso, Van de Ven captaining the side this evening. Udogie, Polinia, Bentancur, Gallagher, Mawani, Richarlison and Tell. Also note that Pedro Porro made his 150th Spurs appearance this evening against Leeds. The sub bench today, Austin, Dragusin, Basuma, Maddison, Gray, Bergval, Spence, Sarr and Sosa. Leigh, were you surprised? Because I'll tell you what, with Roberto De Zerbi, he's also said this in the press conference as well. And every single time, no matter who he's managing, he doesn't like to make too many changes. Well, he didn't make any tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was the least surprising part of the evening. It would have been, we don't really have anyone, I think, on that bench who you could have made a case to come in because the performance was so great at Villa. So I didn't expect anything different. I think, the player winning team, as Dustin was referencing with Leeds, they have a sort of rhythm and they look connected in how they play. And we haven't been. So picking the same team, not just because it won, but there was some sense of cohesion there. I'm sure we'll probably come on and talk about it. I thought the subs were a little bit more questionable, either in terms of the impact or the subs that he made, particularly Lucas Bergval, actually, but we'll save that. But no, as a starting 11, I couldn't see any other starting 11 with what we had available.
Dustin, do you want to add anything to that about the starting 11 this evening?
Not really. I think that the injuries mean that we don't really have many options. You could maybe make an argument for Bissouma or Gray, but ultimately you're breaking the continuity of a winning squad, and what they provide isn't radically different from what Bentancur or Gallagher would provide, or rather they would either be equal at best or less than the existing options. So I don't see any reason why he would have changed it, particularly if you wanted to take the momentum from the Villa game into this game.
Ricky, before we talk about the match incidents and go through minute by minute, do you want to give me your thoughts on the players that you've been impressed by since Roberto De Zerbi has come in? Who has impressed you? Who has he improved in the last couple of weeks for you?
I mean, he's been lucky that Bentancur has come back, and what a difference he has made coming in there. Absolutely different player under De Zerbi. And then Gallagher has actually been so night and day, bro. I think if there's a player out there that you need an example of, it's Gallagher for me, because before De Zerbi turned up, I had no clue what player that guy was, like what his function was or why we bought him at all. But under De Zerbi, his energy, his tenacity, his fight, his will, he's in a position where he can be effective. He has been all over the pitch. And, whether it's a tackle or trying to get a pass or trying to get a move, he's also been organising as well. I saw him organising a lot. When Dustin was talking about kind of shutting down passing lanes and stuff like that, Gallagher was an orchestrator of that. He was every time he moved towards towards one player, he would be beckoning his teammates to pick off the options where the ball could land. So you've seen that in him, and I think that's been, fantastic to see. And then he's just inspired this squad where, there was a lot that was so below par. Is the most politest thing that I can say. When it comes down to their performances or what we were seeing from some of the players, it was so below par. But he's galvanized the passion of someone like Pedro Porro, and give it up to Pedro Porro. What a machine, 150 appearances. And do you know what? If you run any machine 150 times every day, do you know what I mean? Or 150 days in a row, there's going to be some days where it's a little bit slower or it doesn't function as great. But, with all of the injuries that we've had, and he's had an injury this year as well, what an absolute machine. Yes, there's some out there that would kind of critique him a lot more, but for me, he's been the best right back that we've had since Carl Walker in that position. And if you put a structure around him, you see the best out of him. But I love his passion. I love his kind of pride in wearing the shirt. even when he's had arguments back with the crowd, with us fans at times, you can see that he cares, and whether it's sticking up for his teammates or the shirt itself, or going out there and leaving everything out there, absolutely fantastic. But I think as an example, you've seen a massive jump up in Gallagher. And even Van der Ven, I think Van der Ven's been a totally different player under De Zerbi too. So there's been a massive uplift throughout the squad, I feel. But as an example, I definitely say Gallagher.
I think before we go through the match instance, I want to ask you, Leigh, what you made of the referee's performance, Jared Gillett, because there were a lot of boos, very loud boos. Now, we've heard boos all season. Mainly for Thomas Frank, Igor Tudor, for some of the performances that has been delivered up to us Tottenham Hotspur fans this season. Of course, we've only won 2 Premier League games at home all campaign, but the boos this evening were for Jared Gillett. What did you make of his performance? I know we don't normally discuss referees or officials very much, but I've got to say, and I'll give my opinion here, I don't think I know or have seen a worst season for refereeing decisions, poor decisions, and just inconsistency throughout. What did you make of his performance tonight?
I mean, I've said on this show before that refs hate us, and they just seem to. And if it's 50-50, it's always against us. So it might as well be 70-30. There were so many decisions. I mean, like the penalty. There was like was there a toe on the ball or whatever? But there were so many kind of fouls on our players, particularly from Calvert-Lewin, like time after time, particularly from their captain, who I'm blanking on his name. I mean, he could have had like 4 yellows. I mean, it was never a red, but there was, he clattered Maddison in with his elbow up. So I just don't get it. Like, I mean, I don't want to. You never want to go into a conspiracy-laden theory, but the facts are the only penalty we got given got overturned, right, by VAR. So. No, I think it was a shocker. And I don't know if it's something to do with the atmosphere or why the refs, I mean, obviously they're not biased, but it was so poor. But even the minute it goes to any VAR, I'm like, we're not getting it. We're not getting it. But it's really more of the on-field stuff where there were just so many bad tackles. And I think, again, just to feel sorry for ourselves, full well that if Romero was playing and he did any of those, he'd be yellow or red, in a second, whereas everybody else gets the benefit of the doubt against us for some reason.
Dustin, can I just quickly ask you about Matthias Tell? Of course, he scored a wonderful goal that we'll talk about shortly, but Roberto De Zerbi in the press conference has just said what he said to Matthias Tell after the game. And of course, he was at fault giving the penalty away. De Zerbi said, "I gave him a big hug and a big kiss. He is a big talent and he scored a great goal. He made a mistake for the experience, but he has not had the right experience and he has not played too many games in his career." What did you make of his performance today and of late?
I think with players like Matthias Tell, you have to take with the good with the bad, right? So for a long time, under Frank and under Tudor, he was the only player or the only creative player that was trying to do something. And everyone else felt like they were just playing sideways and backwards safe passes. And Tell was the only time that we actually had any threat going forward. So I'll take it for what it is, which is that he is a young player, he backs himself, he has confidence in his abilities, and sometimes that confidence is misplaced. I think that with experience, he will make better decisions, but you don't get, the same edge that makes him try that shot that gets him the goal is the same edge that makes him think that doing a bicycle kick in your own penalty box is a good idea. And, we saw it with Dele Alli as well. Dele did amazing things. He also sometimes, he was a bit of a shithouse and he sometimes got into trouble for that. But that's the edge that you have with players like Sergio Ramos or whatever. So I think that you can't coach it out of him because it's what makes him special, and it's, you have to take the good things that come from that kind of player with the bad, and we saw some of the bad today. We saw both today, actually. So without him, we wouldn't have scored, but without him, we wouldn't have conceded the penalty either.
Dustin, let's stay with you because let's go through the match instance now. I'm going to start after 10 minutes. A great ball played in by Pedro Porro, who, of course, I've mentioned he made his 150th Spurs appearance this evening. Into Richarlison. It looked like a great ball, but Richarlison didn't control it too well at all and then went through to the goalkeeper. Tottenham's forward line of Matisse Tell, Cowlin, Richarlison. What do you make of it? Because if we are going to get, Premier League status for next season, these three, particularly Cowlin, and Richarlison, they need to deliver in the next couple of games.
This goes back to squad building, right? So what happens is that we have 3 players, and Muani and Tell are playing as wingers. Neither of them are actual wingers, right? We had Plettenberg, him of the big forehead, telling us that Tell is a central striker, he's not a winger. But we've had Tell playing there because Odebear is injured and Kudus is injured. And this is the kind of squad building that we've had where we have only one winger in either position and they're both injured long term. And then we send Mikey Mao out on loan, so we don't even have youth team depth for that. I don't see Muani, I don't see us renewing his loan because he hasn't exactly put up trees and a lot of people have lost patience with him. For Tell, there is potential there, but I always felt that with Tell and Odebear, it was a bit of a strange situation because they're both of the same age, play for the same country, so they're competing for one slot, which is left back. And it's better if you have a clearly senior player and a junior player because then they can rotate and the junior player understands that I have to take a back seat because there's someone ahead of me in the pecking order. But if you have them both the same age and playing there, you have a bad dynamic where they're competitive with each other and they're more unhappy about not getting minutes. So I feel that this is a squad building problem and our front line is very badly constructed in terms of the player profiles that we've bought and the fact that we've changed our style of play so much that you have Solanke who's better in building up play, and then you have Richarlison who's just a box threat. So you have 2 strikers that are completely different profiles, and the style of play that would match one striker completely doesn't match the other at all. So you would have another striker that you substitute in to take minutes off him, but then your style of play is completely incompatible with the way Solanke plays central striker to the way Richarlison plays central striker.
Ricky, I want to come to you. After 15 minutes, Jared Gillett was talking to Roberto De Zerbi, and by this point, this was the 3rd time that he had been spoken to by the match officials. Firstly, by the assistant referee, the linesman. Secondly, by the 4th official. And then thirdly, by Jared Gillett, the referee. Now, a lot of people around me were shouting 2 words, Mikel Arteta, amongst other things. He runs up and down that touchline constantly, completely outside the technical area. Now, one thing I love about De Zerbi, and of course, this was only De Zerbi's 2nd game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as Spurs boss. The first one against Brighton, I tell you what, I loved watching De Zerbi on the sidelines because he runs up and down, the passion, he literally kicks every ball, he's shouting at every player, and the passion from him, I tell you what, I absolutely love it. I really do. And I tell you what, I'm going to mention this because the reason I'm going to mention it is because after 15 minutes, I felt the rest of that first half, they'd kind of told him off 3 times, and he kind of just didn't give that same passion that you normally see from him.
They've shut him down, Chris. I mean, look, when we know that De Zerbi pushes the boundaries when it comes down to the technical area and when it comes down to like trying to stay in it, right? It's part of his makeup. So we know that he's going to push it. We know that he's going to risk it. But you're absolutely right. Because when he got the yellow card, I can't remember against what team. It was probably Brighton. I can't remember. But he got the yellow card. And I said straight away, how many has Mikel Arteta got? How many yellows has he got for the same thing? Because that's all he's done. And let alone run up and down that sideline, what Arteta will do is scream in the opposition's, left back or whatever. He's screaming and hollering and almost getting in the way of throw-ins and this, that, and the other, but he gets nothing.
Arteta's often marking the left winger when
Absolutely.
he literally gets in the way of the winger.
Ricky, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to say that, throughout all of the years and throughout the hundreds of episodes that you and I have recorded together, I think that you can count on one hand how many times we have mentioned refereeing decisions or officials, because we're not that sort of podcast. We're not that sort of people to be banging on about referees. But I tell you what, like I said earlier, the inconsistency from the officials this season, particularly from that lot down the road, has been absolutely crazy.
Chris, the reason that we don't bang on about referees is because we're so long in the tooth, my friend. We know we're not going to get anything from them. Sometimes we'll get a fair game off of a ref, and the things that don't go for the opposition won't go for us. Or we might get, fair decisions, as in not every tackle is a yellow card, especially if your name is Romero. But, we're too long in the tooth where we know that we can't expect nothing off of them.
Ricky, I feel like the recent spate of refereeing, not favoritism, but the reversal of that, is ever since that Liverpool game where they had that goal disallowed or whatever. Like, ever since then, every refereeing decision has gone against us, and Romero is also refereed a lot harsher.
Agreed, my friend. But I think that they almost look for any excuse. Why did VAR come into play? Not only that Frank Lampard goal for England, but it was Pedro Mendes from the halfway line, where we got robbed from the halfway line. So this is before VAR, where things didn't used to go for us before VAR. You would hope that with VAR, it would be a little bit more 50-50 in our favour. But it still isn't. There are 3 or 4 incidents that happen per game where it's gone against us, or something should have been awarded for us, and it doesn't happen. It is consistent. And that's the reason that we don't go on about it. But really and truly, it's been every single game this year where we're scrapping for our lives, where it really does matter. These incidents and these decisions really do matter. So it's got to the point where I think that we all hold our look. Leigh said it earlier. Soon as it went to VAR, we knew we wasn't getting it. Everybody knew. And the thing is that when the challenge happened today on Maddison, I stood up and I said 100%. I said 100%. I walked off. I was saying 100% to the walls and coming back and going, that was 100%. But watch them take it off of us. Then it's like, they're checking VAR. Even the Matisse Tell overhead kick, right? Okay, high foot. But you know what? From the angle that I saw it,
We'll come on to it.
Okay. But even that, I was looking and I was kind of like, of course they're checking for a penalty. Of course they are.
We'll come on to those.
No, when it just comes down to the refs and the VAR, bro, I don't want to speak about them because I don't expect nothing from them anyway. But when they make themselves the main character of the football game, that's when it becomes too much. And they've been the main character far too much this whole season when it comes down to Tottenham Hotspur.
Well, my observation, and I was sat right behind the dugouts, my observation very early on was they have it in for De Zerbi to not get him to go anywhere outside that technical area. He's pretty much just said the same thing here, because Roberto De Zerbi, on why he was getting so irate on the sidelines and got yellow carded, he said, from the first minute until the end of the game, the referee said to me, if you go out of the technical area, you will get a yellow card. And I think they were not calm today. De Zerbi then went on to say, maybe they suffered the pressure of yesterday, the West Ham Arsenal game, and VAR.
Maybe, but let's go back to Arteta. How many times has the referee or the assistant been on his case, giving him 4 or 5 warnings?
It's interesting, Rick, that he's mentioned that particular game.
Well, there we go, innit? There we go. We know what it is. It winds me up. It winds me up. I don't expect nothing from him, but my goodness, I would just go for fairness. Just, if it's wrong for them, it's wrong for us. As simple as that. If it's right for them, it's right for us. But my goodness, they have been shocking, mate. The refereeing and the refereeing decisions and VAR have been absolutely shocking. I don't understand how the club haven't put in a complaint or anything like that, or lodged an appeal or something. Do you know what I mean? I really don't know. Don't know.
Rick, I want to give you something positive to talk about.
All right.
So let's talk about Antonin Kinski and one of his fantastic saves that he made today in the 21st minute from header from Joe Rodon.
Fantastic save, bro. Firstly, I mean, Rodon was left with a pretty much free header. And, Kinski got down so quickly, got his whole hand behind it. What a redemption arc. And I love it. I absolutely love to see this from Kinski. He is absolutely taking his opportunity, standing up in a really difficult scenario where, we know what it's like with goalkeepers. If they make a mistake, and he knows after Atletico, any little mistake can lead to a goal and could lead to a defeat, which is even more harmful at this moment in time. But what a save. What a save. He basically kept it 1-1 for us tonight. Not only this save, but a couple of others towards the end. But
yeah,
fantastic character, fantastic redemption. And, he's having these hero moments right now. And I think we've got a fantastic keeper right there. Somebody who is really competent with his feet, somebody who can make a strong save, decision-making as well. And he's still young. The more games he gets, the more responsibility he gets, the more trust he gets from his teammates. You can see him growing week in, week out. And I think we've got a really special keeper on our hands. And thank goodness he's had that moment to get his redemption, because that could have been a really horrible end to Kinski's career at Tottenham. But he like the phoenix from the ashes, my goodness, he has risen. And thank goodness for us.
Leigh, what have you made of Antonin Kinski? Of course, since that dreadful episode for him away at Atletico Madrid, because it's a funny one, because he's been putting in these great performances. I thought his footwork against Aston Villa last week was absolutely brilliant, and a couple of great saves. And like Ricky said there, kept us in the game. And the reason why we drew 1-1 is because of his fantastic saves this evening. Roberto De Zerbi has also said that Vicario is still Tottenham's #1 goalkeeper. He has also confirmed that he has not been training yet. We know that there is just over a week to go until we face Chelsea, so he could be back in training. If it was a choice between Vicario and Kinski for the remaining 2 Premier League games, who would you like to see between the sticks?
Oh, Kinski, without any shadow of a doubt. I mean, I've never been much of a Vicario fan, but particularly given how De Zerbi likes to play, keeper with the foot on the ball, bait the press, etc., etc. Vicario's passing in general, unless he's just smashing it as far as he can kick it, is pretty poor. I think Kinski was his debut against Liverpool in the semi-final of the League Cup.
It was,
I just remember he was just pinging it around like a sweeper, basically. And obviously he's a kid. He's made some mistakes. I remember against Villa in the Cup last year, made a bit of a howler or two. But I think now, we talked about at the beginning about picking the same team. I think he's in a rhythm. He's got confidence. He's playing well. I really hope he doesn't make that change. And potentially, if it comes down to, if Vicario's not fit for Chelsea, do you really want to bring him back just for the final game of the season? I just don't see the logic. But I think Kinski is whether he's our #1 for next season, or if he's really still, we need a more experienced keeper if Vicario does go to Inter, as has been rumoured. But I've liked him since I saw him. I think he just needed that run and that whole thing about, sometimes it's when things don't go well, you're stronger for it. He's kind of forged in fire. And what happened in Madrid, many people would have never come back from that. Actually, he could potentially come back twice as strong. But I'm a really big fan. And back to the point I made at the beginning about potentially losing this game under Frank or Tudor, or we would have lost this game, I think you could argue that Kingsky's why we didn't. Like, I think he was that good.
Leigh, can I ask what you made of Leeds this evening? Because I felt like it was a very tough game. They were up for every 50-50, and some of their pressing, especially in the first half, was exceptional. And I've written down here, Tell, no time on the ball. Kinsky, no time on the ball. Like, he had a lot of time on the ball last week against Aston Villa.
Yeah, it's just classic dirty Leeds, right? I mean, they weren't that dirty, but they just, yeah, they're always up for it. And I think they're a very physical team. You know, as Dustin said, they've gone more physical. I was talking earlier that once they went man for man, like they were really that classic thing. If you got to win your individual battles, and our three strikers, you know, we just couldn't create any space, and they all seem afflicted with the same thing of they might have a good first touch, they may have a good second touch, they always have a terrible third touch, all three of them. And I think Leeds swept up. I mean, Roden, I mean, I know he's older and more experienced, but yeah, Roden looked like an absolute class act. And I was like, we didn't know that when he was at Tottenham when he was a kid, but I thought he was excellent. You know, you got him and Calvert-Lewin, you know, kind of a spine. I actually really like Aronson. I think Aronson would be a great player at Tottenham potentially. Like he's got so much energy, but yeah, they didn't have a ton of quality, but they just battle. And the Leeds that we hoped would show up, we probably knew deep down in our hearts that wasn't the Leeds that was going to show up. The Leeds that showed up today looked like they weren't safe, even though they are. So yeah, it's a tough one. We just have to hope that it's that Leeds who play West Ham on the last day, not one that's already on the beach.
Although they're only a couple of places ahead of Tottenham, they are one of the most informed sides in the Premier League right now. Leigh, I want to stay with you because after 26 minutes, a good run from Matisse Tell. Just as he was about to shoot, it got blocked. And then on 28 minutes, Gallagher with a shot which was deflected wide, went out for a corner. And then on 32 minutes, I've written down here, Cowlin Mawani cross, terrible. Richarlison with an effort, saved by the goalkeeper. De Zerbi going mad on the sidelines. I asked Dustin this question earlier. I'm going to ask you the same. When you've got a forward line of Tell, Richarlison, Mawani, what do you make of it? Does it fill you with confidence? And, you know, Cowlin Mawani, I feel like we've spoken about him so many times, particularly recently. And Roberto De Zerbi said that, you know, he needs to take him out for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Is it working, do you think?
No, not really. But I mean, it's what we've got. But they're just all too similar. I think it's almost like you wish that De Zerbi had a rule with certainly with Tell and Mawani, where it's like, you know, take a couple touches and play someone else in, because as for Mawani, he's just going down blind alleys, and he worked really hard. I got to give him that, but he's never getting a ball in, and he's not beating his man to the end. I do get what Dustin's saying about Tell, of that's him, and it's his almost his sort of youthful confidence or overconfidence that's leading him to take the chances he does. But you know, I wrote down Tell terrible. Like until he scored that goal, it was just a performance of, you know, shoots when he should cross when he should shoot. And then Richarlison, you know, I've seen in the chat there's a bit of Richie hate, and maybe there always is, but I will say this. I mean, if you're asking the guy to beat 5 players, he's not going to do it. But the amount of times he blocked and ran down the fullback, got a block in, like he was just a pest. I think, unfortunately, he just needs people to give him the ball on a play. And that one really great through ball, you know, he just overplayed his second touch or something. So I think where it worked well was like against Villa, like 2 touch, get a cross in. You know, it's nothing clever. It's our best chances are probably going to come from crosses and set pieces rather than really creating anything. But these 3, until Solanke comes back, if he comes back, it's all we've got.
Dustin, I know we've spoken about the Roberto De Zerbi impact so far, but I wanted to talk about these match incidents because after 33 minutes, Pedro Porro with a long-range effort, it was cleared off the line. 3 minutes later, João Palhinha missed. Everyone had their heads in their hands at that point. 39 minutes, Bentancur header just wide from a corner. And then just before the half-time break, Pedro Porro with an effort wide. Now, one thing I wanted to mention, because you've mentioned it a number of times this season, particularly when we were under Thomas Frank, long shots. Long shots, we were always told, or the team were always told by Thomas Frank, we don't do long shots. We certainly do under Roberto De Zerbi, don't we?
Yeah, I think that basically Frank was like, long shots are low XG, we don't do them, and if the opponent wants to take a long shot, it's good they're taking a low percentage chance, and then we subsequently conceded, I think, 11 long shots. We are taking long shots now. I think that it's a balance. Long shots are something that you should take when you have the opportunity, because when you take them, you're baiting the opponents out to block your long shot. And then them being pulled out to block your long shot creates space that you can then maybe make a through ball or something like that. So long shots in and of themselves aren't necessarily the best, because they're not we have too many players that will hit rosette on long shots, but there's some players that we have that can keep a long shot on target. I think the key is really, it's about balance. You don't want to be so diametrically opposed to long shots that teams don't even bother to go and block your long shot because they know you're not going to do it. Being predictable is the problem. So under Thomas Frank, it was very clear that he thought long shots were something that are not worth trying, so the team didn't do it as much. And that meant that whenever we had a player that was in a position for a long shot, he wouldn't take it, but the opposing team would never push up as well, and that didn't create any space. So I think the key really is, and I would say Ange had a similar problem with build-up play, which is we always play short, we always build up from the back, but you need to play long sometimes, because if they know that you're always going to play short, then they can mark you a certain way. So a lot of it is like switching it up and having variety, and that means sometimes you take a long shot, sometimes you fake the long shot and then you pass through, but you need to be unpredictable so that you can keep the opponent on their toes.
I want to mention the fans again, because at the halftime break, I know some people said it weren't a great opening 45 minutes from Tottenham, but all of the players were applauded off yet again, and the players would have really felt that support again this evening. And as I mentioned earlier on in the podcast right at the very start, the support away at Villa Park last week was absolutely unreal. They didn't stop singing from minute one right until the final whistle. In the second half, Ricky, let's come to you. Mawani played in down the right. He was tackled. And then there was a real, cry, a real show of support again from the Spurs fans singing "Come on, you Spurs," and when you get that feeling of wow, it was like that. It was fantastic. It really was, and that would have gone onto the pitch, and the players would have certainly felt that. Moments later, Mathys Tel with a fantastic moment, and Ricky, you and I have spoken for the last couple of seasons about Mathys Tel, and we want to see moments from him like this, and he delivered tonight.
Oh, what a goal, mate. What a goal. Pinpoint, top corner. We haven't seen one of those since Sonny, and how we are missing the man, the myth, the legend that is Heung-min Son. We are missing him. But to see that type of goal was awesome. And I really did think that it was going to be the moment that Mathys Tel kind of had his moment, when I was chatting to my boy, my brother Darren Hart, I was saying, he was like, "Who do you think is going to score?" And I said, "I think it's going to be Tel tonight." I did have that feeling that he was going to do it. He just had one of those Jekyll and Hyde nights, and I think that comes from being a young player. I think that comes from wanting to do as much as you can do to try and affect the game, and sometimes almost trying too hard at times. But for him to have those couple of mistakes in the first half. But he always showed up to try and make it happen, and he always went, all right, and cool, give me the ball, let me try and make up for my mistake. And what a goal that was. Got it on the edge of the box, outside the box again. Got it on the edge of the box and curled it into that top corner.
Top bins, Rick.
Top bins. And you know what I mean?
Don't even go there.
The thing is that, from someone that knows how to hit top bins, I would say it's definitely, you know what I mean? The technique was on point, and he paused just before, and made it unconventional, which is, you know,
Do you know what?
that is my technique, but it's fine. Tell you can use it. It's fine as long as it gets us the goal.
Your technique was literally top bins, right? but Matisse tells goal. It was the dip at the end, Rick.
I know.
The dip at the end.
Yeah, I know. I told him actually get the dip in because I don't want it too similar to mine at all, bruv. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's sometimes you got to be inspired by something. Then there's sometimes you're just nicking somebody else's work. So I said just make it your own, and I'm glad that you got the dip in there because it did make it a little bit sweeter.
I can't believe Leigh always gives encouragement.
I know, I'm just like teeing him up.
Bro, you gave me the assist. You gave me the assist.
No. Dustin, don't ever bring on any presentations with Ricky Norwood on top in.
I do have that on the slides, by the way. I deliberately put top bins there.
No, you didn't.
You've always got to have it ready, Chris. You've always got. You never know, mate. You never know when you're going to need it.
Leigh, let's move on. Let's come to you. Actually, do you want to add anything on Tell's goal because it was a wonderful finish?
Yeah, no, it was incredible. No, nothing to add really, other than I think that was probably his best moment in amongst a lot of other weird, not so good. But yeah.
It was just 8 minutes later after that goal. What a wonderful chance. Cowlin Mawani to Richarlison over the bar. Everyone thought it was going to be 2-0 and the game was going to be put to bed. It wasn't to be. De Zerbi was jumping up and down. He couldn't believe that he missed.
Had to score, right? Had to score. Had to score. I think the commentators here were saying, that Mawani's ball was played too hard. I actually don't think it was. I think he had to score that from 6 yards out. And it was a great move, and it's probably the best thing that Cowlin Mawani did the whole game too. So that unfortunately was one of those moments. I'm sure we all felt it, where the cliche of "Are we going to pay for that?" later in the game, and of course we did. But it was a great move.
Ricky, can I actually come back to you on the forward line? Because I've asked Dustin and Leigh about the forward line already during the podcast, and I haven't asked you. And I really don't want to turn this into, bashing our forward line at all. But, when you've got opportunities like this in such key games, in such key moments, you have to deliver. Yeah,
and it's tough, Chris. Richarlison's touch has not been good. It is not good. His first touch is never really that good. Sometimes his weight of pass can be off. There's a lot of huff and puff at times. There was a point where he got outpaced by Joe Rodon on the left-hand side when he'd knocked the ball forward and done all of the hard work. But then when it came down to actually putting the afterburners on to make sure he got the first touch of the ball, he didn't do it. In fact, he slowed down a bit. There is that relegation Richarlison in there, but we need to see it, and we need to see more. And there was times where Richie today, he just felt off. A lot of huff and puff today, but he felt off. And then when it comes down to Colo as well on the right hand side, he's not had the greatest. The biggest upturn for him has been effort and care. You can see that he wants to. I can see that he wants to do something. I can see that he wants to score, or he wants to cross, or he wants to be effective. But he's another one that will do all the hard work, knock it down, dribble past one, and then it's the moment to make the final decision. And it always ends up being the wrong type of decision. Like 8 times out of 10, it's the wrong decision. Or he'll trip over himself or dribble himself out. But this is what we've got. This is all that we've got. There ain't no transfer window open. We're hoping Solanke's going to come back, but we haven't got Kudus back. This is what we got. So we're hoping that, and I think that this is what De Zerbi's doing. He's trying to remind them of who they are too, and pull it out of them, drag it out of them. That's why he's going breakfast, lunch, and dinner with Colo. It's to kind of go, come on, mate. All right, look, you're on loan. you're probably not going to be here next season. But all right, well, give me an effort and put yourself in the shop window. You're in the best league in the world. You could be a hero. Go and score a couple of goals right now. You could be a hero. You don't know what move you'll get next year. So, like, show me something and I'll make sure I'll repay it. When a rival manager phones me to give me a recommendation on Colo, I'll make sure I'll give him a proper good one and make sure that the next move that you want can happen. I'll try and do the best that I can do. And I think there's something there because we saw after Villa when he got substituted, him just kind of, firstly, when the Villa fan put his finger up to him, he very politely just went 2-0 and kept it sweet like that. And that's all you had to do. And then he celebrated with the fans as well. And we haven't seen we haven't seen that player at all season. It's only De Zerbi that's got it out of him. So we're hoping that these players turn up for us in those pivotal moments. And both of those guys had a couple today. Richie and Colo had a couple today. And they didn't take them, and we really needed them to. We really, really needed them to. This is why Tell gets praised, like Dustin said earlier, because he's the only one that shows you effort. So even though, he had that horrible pass in the first half where Danzo got the flick on and then they went on a break, but it was bad because he was put under pressure and he made the wrong decision basically, and then he's made another wrong decision with the overhead kick that cost us the penalty as well. So you've got those moments, but then you've got the moment in the first half where he was the only one that dribbled into the box and got a shot off at one point, and actually took on a man and dribbled past him, dribbled through him. You've got that exquisite goal that he scored. So he does have it in him. He does have it in him. And as a young player, it's going to be like that. I just wish that it was more positive than negative today. I felt today could have been his moment. Today could have been his game where, he's on the shoulders of the rest of the players. He's the one that's celebrating in the crowd with all of the fans. And that would have spurred him on to be one of the heroes and one of the firefighters in this rescue job, So it's just a shame that it was kind of soured by that not great decision in doing that overhead kick and costing us that pen. So it's about giving him, and that's why I love De Zerbi again. He didn't give him no side eye. He hasn't blamed him. He hasn't done anything. He's given him a cuddle and a kiss, mate, and gone, my goodness, if it wasn't for your goal, it could have been 1-0 to them. Do you know what I mean? Like the boys were saying earlier. So there is a lot of good things in Tell, and it's about getting it out of him. And I think, the more that he's relied upon and he takes responsibility, I think we will get those moments. But in this high pressure time where every touch and every cross and every shot and every movement and every run is vitally important, it's the highest pressure any player can be under at this moment. So it's gonna have you on edge, and you're gonna make rash decisions, type of snap decisions where, if you was in a calm and winning team, you might not make them. So we are going to get that. But I think that's why he gets praised, is because he does try to make something happen. It's a tough forward line, bro, but this is all we've got. And right now, the more belief that De Zerbi puts in him, the more we're going to get out of them. But what I would say to all three of them is that you can literally be the hero. You like the song, you can be heroes just for one day. You can literally be the hero, and you can literally have euphoria on your back, and your name would be sung for many a season after this. If you can go out there and give us just that little bit more, if you can give us just that little bit more and do that little bit more and make the right decisions at the right time and put it away more than anything, then you can literally be like one of those people that we speak about for years to come. Like, regardless of whether you stay or go. Richie hasn't had the greatest of seasons with us. He's had moments, but he hasn't had the greatest of seasons with us in his time. Colo's had a season. He hasn't had the greatest season at all. But you can be a hero. We can speak about you for the next 10 years if you actually just go, all right, and cool, let me show you all. I got you. Let me show you all. Trust me, I'll make it happen.
I think that some people are going to have mixed feelings on that, Ricky, because you saying about go and be a hero. It's funny because the last fan show that we recorded, Luke came on and Luke said to me, Chris, will you celebrate Spurs surviving if we do survive like Spurs have won a trophy? Leigh, let's come to you on this. So if it does happen that Spurs survive on the final day of the season, if it does go to the final day of the season, should Spurs fans be celebrating the fact that we have survived this mess, or should we feel angry the fact that we're in it in the first place?
I think we should be embarrassed and angry, and I think it's an awful reflection of where we are, that if we're celebrating not getting relegated, that we honestly think that is a high bar. It's the lowest bar that there is. So I think we should feel relief. I'll have a strong drink. I'm not going to go into manic depression for the rest of the summer, but the idea of celebrating, I think it's going to be just relief. But we should be embarrassed, and also when we think about that lot down the road, I don't want them to win it, of course I don't, but I'd rather stay up. I'd rather focus on us, and if they win it, fine. They must have deserved it, quote unquote. But no, I think we should just all quietly go away, and then frankly the real investigation, cross-examination should happen with the board, with Lang, with the decision making. Like that's where the energy's got to be, of like, how on earth did we make those decisions, particularly the January transfer window, particularly Tudor, that we ended up in this situation. And yes, of course, the players are ultimately accountable, but I think we've seen from De Zerbi that he's rallied them, he's given them some belief. The fact he's talking to them one-on-one, I think sounds so obvious, but no, I don't think we should celebrate. We celebrate when we win. This is something that hopefully we will never ever have to go through again, and it'll be like talking about the pandemic or something, just something from way back when it was an awful time.
Dustin, let's come to you. Let's talk about Leeds' equaliser. Of course, Matisse Tell gave away the penalty after 70 minutes. Referee then went over to the screen. It went to VAR, of course. And then when you hear those words after review, you know exactly what is coming. Talk us through the incident and talk us through the decision.
Well, basically what happens is he's trying to clear the ball. He thinks that he has the space to do an overhead kick. I think it's something that Serie A defenders used to do a lot, like overhead kicks as clearances, but he doesn't understand that there's a Leeds player coming to hit the ball. And I suspect the Leeds player can see that he's about to do the overhead kick, and he's deliberately putting his head there so that he can win the penalty. Because I don't think his boot hits his head hard enough for there to actually be a concussion. I think the Leeds player has gone there knowing that if I can get close enough and make contact, I will get the penalty. So, nothing much you can say. It's a penalty.
Yeah, unfortunately so. And
but he got up afterwards, didn't he? I mean, I can't remember, but it's not like he was stretchered off. I mean,
yeah. I mean, because like he doesn't want to go through concussion protocol, right? So I believe he sees him shaping up to do the overhead kick and thinks, I can win a penalty here, and he just runs up and hits it. There's bravery required there for sure, but there's no way he doesn't know that he's going to get kicked.
Is there any arguments from any one of you that was a penalty or not?
No, it's a pen.
You know what? I'm going to argue.
There's always one.
You know what it is? It's like part of me feels like the angle that I saw it from, right? There's a thing called forced perspective. Do you know what forced perspective is? Forced perspective is something that they done in Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, which made Ian McKellen be like a massive wizard with the hobbits, which were tiny, right? But basically, it means that if I hold something up closer to the camera, it looks bigger than the thing that's further away. And the angle that I saw it, I think that yes, the toe went up, yes, the foot went up, but I don't even think, I don't even know if it touched him or whether like Ampadu went in to get the touch. Do you know what I mean? I think that he went to head his toe rather than the toe went to him, bro. And look, is it dangerous play? Is it a high foot? Yes. Okay. But, why can't anything go for us, boys? I don't know, man. I just don't know. Maybe I'm
Ricky,
just being...
Ricky, I know what you mean because he kind of like dips his head down. So sometimes, like if a defender is clearing a ball and you dip your head like below hip height, you know, is it really dangerous play? But this is an overhead kick, so even if he dips his head down, he's jumping for a header. That boot is way too high.
Yeah, all right. I'm trying. I'm sorry. I'm trying.
Ricky, let's come to you. On 81 minutes, Bergvall came on. Bentancur went off. Pedro Porro picked up a yellow card on 82 minutes. Shortly after that, James Maddison and Jed Spence come on, and Tell and Udogie went off. I'll tell you what a huge moment for James Maddison. Of course, the ACL injury happened in July, which was Heung-min Son's last game in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt in South Korea against Newcastle. 10 months later, James Maddison has returned in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt in our 1-1 draw against Leeds. The crowd were off their feet. The crowd were extremely excited. And when we add the 13 minutes added on, he basically played 20 minutes of the game today. And it's great to see him back. How delighted are you to see him back, Rick?
What a reception, Chris. What a reception. You was there. It gave me goosebumps at home. The noise. It was a different noise. It wasn't a song noise. It wasn't a "Come on, you Spurs" noise. It was a different round of applause, and it was a different roar. Just to see him on the sidelines, being preparing to come onto the field, and once he did come on, the cheer and the roar and the reception that the whole home crowd gave him, like, wow. And what a journey he's had. And he's been fighting to get back. You know how he's desperate to get back. You know how much he loves football. We've seen that journey along his on his YouTube channel. And we've seen it's been a tough one at that. A really, really tough one. But to see him on the field today and get almost 20 minutes was really good. And he grew. Little bit by little bit, he grew. And he was asking for the ball. And he was up and down the field. And it just, I'm happy that he's back. But it does make me go, where would we have been with him in the side a little bit more this year? Yeah, especially when we've all been craving creativity. But it's great that he's back right now. That's all I can say. He's back, right? So even if he's coming off the bench and affecting the last 20 or plus extra time, at least we've got a game changer on the bench right now. And that is a massive positive. He's not going to be 100% up to speed, but he's had a month in training with the boys. He has been on the bench a couple of times. Tonight, he got his moment of 20 minutes, first one back, and I think that will give him a lot of confidence. I think that he looked emotional at the final whistle as well. So I think that now that hurdle's done, when it comes down to the games against Chelsea and Everton, I think that he is definitely going to have a moment as well, and he's going to have an effect on this survival challenge.
Do you know what, Ricky? You mentioned the word hero earlier. And I'll tell you what, if there's anyone who would want to be a hero to save Spurs and keep us in the Premier League, it will definitely be James Maddison, without any question or doubt. And I'll tell you what I love about James Maddison. He will never, ever shy away. He will always look for the ball. He will always want the ball. He will always want to create something in that final third, which we have been missing a lot this season. Leigh, how excited about are you having James Maddison back for the final couple of games?
Yeah, no, it was almost tear-inducing seeing him because I followed his YouTube channel. I like him, and he's a player we've sorely missed. Also, I don't know if you could see it, Chris, from where you were, but it was a really lovely moment when he came on with Daniel Farke the Leeds manager.
I was going
And
to
also,
mention that, yeah.
yeah, and at the end of the game, I don't know if Maddison played for him at Norwich when he was there. Maybe he did, but it was just such a nice thing. And even I think one or two of the Leeds players kind of gave him a welcome back. I think he's a popular guy, and yeah, it was a big moment, and I think he made a difference. I mean, he doesn't look fit. Why he wouldn't be? But can he play 20 minutes against Chelsea? Can he play half an hour against Everton? Like, he just having him back, and I think we're all willing a sort of David Beckham against Greece last minute Maddison free kick, aren't we? Just because that would be the putting the icing on the cake. But I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't have a say in this story. He's that kind of player.
It certainly gave the crowd a huge lift. And as Ricky said, goosebump moments at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium this evening. Sadly, we didn't get the win, but there were a lot of goosebump moments tonight. And Maddison coming on was one of them. And as you rightly said, Leigh, Daniel Farke and a number of Leeds players and, of course, a number of Tottenham staff. And, they were all willing him on and all saying good luck. And they were all so pleased to see him back, because when a professional footballer spends that length of time out of the game, they all understand it, and they all want, to give him that pat on the back and say good luck, and, nice to see him back. Dustin, let's come to you. Bergvall shot over the bar on 93 minutes, and this is now into stoppage time, 13 minutes of it. Roberto De Zerbi received the yellow card from the referee on 96 minutes. He was then shouting at the fourth official. Leeds United then hit the bar in 98 minutes. Kinski, what a save from him.
Amazing. Basically, it was so fast. Most people didn't think that he saved it at all. He thought that most people thought that it was just a shot straight off the bar. Then you see the replay, like it's his reaction save that gets it. And a lot of times people say that if it's on your near post, you should save it. But a shot that flies fast is flying fast, right? You can try to block what you can, but the fact that he reacts and moves his hand to block it, so it wasn't like the shot was straight at him. He had to react with that speed to be able to hit it, and with a shot of that power, deflect it enough that it didn't go into the goal. That was amazing. And I think that it's one thing that we can take from this is the redemption arc they say he's had since the Atletico Madrid game, because he's come in and most people notice when a goalkeeper saves a shot. But what Kinski does for us in possession is huge, because he helps us in build-up. He helps us bait players out. He does so much more than... In fact, he's kind of taken over Romero's role of baiting the press, because our two other centre-backs aren't as comfortable on the ball as he is. So he's often the one rolling the ball, edging out and sucking the strikers or the midfielders in so that he can beat the press.
Ricky, lastly, let's come to you. In the dying seconds of the game, a lot of people in the stadium, most people, if not everyone in the stadium, thought that James Maddison had come on and won Spurs a penalty in the dying seconds. Was it a penalty in your view?
100%, Chris. 100%, bro. I'll say it again, 100%. I don't want to see no replays. I don't want to see no VAR. It was 100% a penalty. They should have given it to us. My goodness, when are we ever going to get a penalty? We're never going to get it, are we? My goodness. Oh, I hope they're saving them all up for Stamford Bridge, bro. I hope we get like 4 penalties at Stamford Bridge, because goodness gracious, we're owed them. So, yes, my friend, for me, it was a penalty and I was screaming. And, but yeah, I didn't expect it to drop, because we all know what was going to happen. As soon as we saw that VAR sign, we all knew.
Leigh, what were you thinking at this point?
I thought it was a pen. I couldn't even watch the replay, because as soon as I heard the VAR thing, I just walked away. I was just like, to our earlier point, I just knew the outcome. I guess the question is, if the ref had given it as a penalty, would it have been overturned? And maybe that's like, who cares? Doesn't matter. But from what I understand with VAR, it's one thing if the on-field decision is one way and that they're overturning it versus, if it's a question mark. But from what I did see, I mean, it looked like there was this kind of hairs breath of a touch on the ball, but in real time, I thought it was a pen. But we're projecting, aren't we? We want it to be a pen, so
Yeah.
it's a pen, but it probably wasn't.
Dustin, a penalty for you?
In real time, it looks like a penalty. Unfortunately, when you watch the replay, the ball's roll does change a bit as the defender's foot grazes it. So it doesn't look like it hits it much. But if the defender's foot grazes it, then technically the defender is in control. Therefore, it's not a pen. And then what happened after that? Was it a goal kick that was given? Or was it a corner? It was a corner, right?
Corner.
Yeah, it was a corner. So it's taken that the defender touched it, and therefore he was in control of the ball.
Yeah, it was mayhem in the stadium at that point, actually. Yeah. Dustin, before we talk about the Chelsea game, you've got a number of things to go through.
Yes. Yeah, so Maddison penalty shout. Longstaff miss. Basically just highlights from the game. Or, wrong box to try that for the bicycle kick clearance.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think all in all, look, the togetherness that we got from the goal was great. I think that right now we're just at the stage where we're trying to keep the team together. We're trying to lift the spirits a bit. So the Villa game did a great job in that. This goal did that as well. We're at the point in time where we're just trying to will the players on to not give up. And we need things like that. Kinski's save. Those are the kinds of things that will get them feeling like it's not a lost cause and they can get it over the line. So at this point, however disappointed we might feel about it, especially for the fans that go to the stadium, we've just got to keep supporting them because that's the only way we can actually influence what's happening. And it's down to how sometimes in games where a player misplaces a pass and you can audibly hear the crowd go, oh. Those are the kinds of things that where the doubt sets in. So as much as it is frustrating, and hats off to the fans that have paid hundreds of dollars, hundreds of pounds to see like 2 home wins this season. But if anything, this is the only way to influence what happens on the pitch is how you support the team, and that's why we're supporters. So it's been a rough watch, but we have to get through this together, and that means being the 12th man, because God knows the referee's not going to be that 12th man for us.
Right, so that's the match instance from today's game. Tottenham Hotspur 1, Leeds 1. Ricky, let's come to you. Last questions for all of you. How do you think we're going to get on against Chelsea? What team would you like to see against Chelsea? What are your expectations? And also, if there's something that you want to talk about that we haven't discussed this evening, go for it.
Always a tough game against Chelsea. For me, I would probably go with the same starting 11. I think it's a luxury we haven't been able to use a stable 11, whether that's through suspension, mostly injury. We haven't been able to rely on an 11 so far. So for me, I'd keep it exactly the same for now. It's part of me would try and, if I wanted to risk it, would drop Colo for a Maddison or something like that. But right now, if those 11 are fit come the game against Chelsea, then I would go for it. It's always a really, really tough game. But again, Chris, you know my scoreline for every single game until the end of the season is, delusional or not, is 4-1 Tottenham. That's what I'm saying. I've said it for the last 5 games. It's going to be 4-1. So I'm manifesting it. I'm calling it out there. I'm putting it out there. I'm trying to will it to happen that we have a 4-1 win against Chelsea. My goodness. If we had a 4-1 win against Chelsea, wow, bloody hell. I might have to crack open a couple of bottles that day, let me tell you. But yeah, it's going to be a tough one, man. But, it's... We could have been out of this 3-4 games ago. 3-4 games ago, we could have been absolutely out of this. We could have been long gone. We could have been, we could have had that dreaded R word against our name already. But it's not there. It hasn't happened. We're still in it. These players are waking up. We are seeing magic moments from them. You know, we are seeing team performances. We are seeing effort. We are seeing care. We are seeing a lot of good things, and we've got a very good manager. And look what a good manager can do. Look at the change in fortunes that a good manager can do. And he's basically working with a B side, you know, barring a couple. He's basically working with an understrength side. But look at the difference that he's made, and look at the uplift in performance and all of the things that I previously said. So I'm going to believe in him. I'm going to believe in them boys that we can turn it around, and that we can get the points on the board that keep us in this league. So I know it's disappointing. I'm disappointed. I've been disappointed. You've heard my voice the whole way through this podcast. Most of the time, my hands have been on my forehead because it's been one of those games. And
I was going to mention that. I don't think I've ever seen you have your head in your hands so much in all the time I've known you.
I know, bro, because it is one of those. It's a missed opportunity. And you know, when the belief was high and we had two wins on the bounce, it was a fantastic opportunity with a couple of their players out as well to make it 3 on the bounce and put ourselves in a fantastic position with a bit of a bumper. And it's another home game where it hasn't happened. When we've been at home, you know, I go back to that heartbreak at Nottingham Forest. I was lucky enough to be in the ground that day, but I say lucky, but yeah, that was massively heartbreaking, and I thought it was over then. And it almost has a similar flavour tonight, but it's not that at all. It's night and day from what that was, night and day from that performance, night and day with the result. You know, we got something out of today. We didn't lose, so I know I'm disappointed. I know you're all disappointed at home too. But we're still in it. We're still in it. We're still in it. We still have to believe. Football is a crazy game. If it was easy to predict, we'd all be millionaires because we'd put a bet on every single week. But there is always crazy results. There's always crazy decisions. And we're gonna have to pray we have a couple of those fall our way. But we're still in it. It's all about us. Keep believing in us. Don't watch nobody else. Just keep it on Tottenham. Keep all your energy and all your focus on Tottenham and staying in this league, and then doing a massive, you know, root and branch eradication of all of the things that have got us to this point. And we'll deal with that at the end of the season.
Ricky, I know you and I always say it's always about Tottenham, but on Sunday, will you be sitting there with a Newcastle brown owl saying, "Why I, man"?
No, mate. I won't be watching it. I'll check the result at about maybe 60 minutes into the game, and then I'll check the result. If not 80 at the end of the game, I will not be paying any attention. I couldn't do tonight. Do you know how tough it was tonight watching it? And my heart was thumping, and my head was, you know, and the huffing and the puffing so I can't be watching nobody else at all, and I can't do it.
You didn't watch the West Ham Arsenal game?
No, not at all. Are you mad? No. Do you know what? The only bits that I saw were in build up today. So I don't normally even watch the build up on Sky, but they had the build up, and they were running through the Gooner and West Ham incidents, and so I saw that today. But no, mate, I'm not watching them look down the road, and I'm not watching West Ham, and I'm not watching anybody else. I'm only focused on Tottenham, bro. I don't care about nobody else. I'll check the result, but I can't put my heart and my energy into hoping somebody else loses. It just doesn't run for me, man. So I prefer to avoid it and concentrate on us.
Yeah, it's hard for us all at the moment.
It's difficult.
Leigh, same questions for you. What do you want to see at Chelsea? Obviously, you want to see a win, but I mean, Who do you want to see in terms of personnel? Do you want to see changes made? Do you want to see James Maddison on the pitch again? And what are your realistic expectations at Stamford Bridge?
I think you probably play the same team. I mean, Bissouma might be the only one just because he's a little bit more progressive, but I'd pick the same team. I'm with Dustin. Look, history's against us. We all know it. There's no point sort of listing out. What I do know from what little I've watched of Chelsea, but also my friends who are Chelsea fans, is their confidence is very brittle right now. Their home form is not great. The crowd has turned against them, particularly when they were played Forest, under-strength Forest at that. So I think our best chance is to go for it. And I think De Zerbi probably will. I don't think he's a go play for a draw. I think if we get a break, who knows? Because I think their confidence is probably as maybe fragile as ours has been. So I'd like to see us go for it. I think a point would be amazing. I just can't see us winning, but a point would be truly fantastic. But I'd go with the same team. Watching the others, I won't watch Newcastle because I'm traveling that day, but I did watch Arsenal, and I felt really grubby. I felt like I'd soiled myself, to be honest with you. I cheered their goal and I was like, what am I doing? Like, it did not sit well. I needed to change my underpants afterwards. So I'm not going to watch Newcastle, and I won't watch another Arsenal game for obvious reasons. But yeah, I think we've got a chance. I think we should go for it.
Leigh, what do you make of Chelsea being in the FA Cup final 3 days before we do face them at Stamford Bridge? And of course, they still have a chance of European football. So, is there a positive there for us? Is it a negative that they're still going for European football? How do you see it?
I mean, I don't want them to win anything, obviously, but if they win it, does that mean that they go on the piss and that they're not at it? Or does it mean if they lose, their confidence is shattered? Like, it's hard to know. But I do think them having a game and us not having a game, we don't have a game for a week now, which is helpful. So I hope it's I don't know if they do extra time in the FA Cup final anymore. I think they probably do. So I hope it's extra time and penalties, and they're knackered or hungover.
Dustin, finally with you, the Chelsea game. I tell you what, I hate it. I hate going to Stamford Bridge. I absolutely hate it.
I hate it too. I think it's time for us to exact revenge for the Champions League, them beating Bayern when they finished out of the top four and kicking us out of that. It's time to avenge them winning the league in 2018 when we had the team that should have done it. There are many things that Chelsea has done to us that has hurt us as a club. And we can show up at Stamford Bridge and go, we haven't won here in 30 years. Or we can go, fuck it, we're going to beat you with the worst team we've had for decades. Right, so let's go there, take it to them. They don't have a full-time manager working there now. And the previous times, Chelsea has always had player power. So they've always had players that they've had, John Terry's or whatever, that would just pull them across the line, right? What Chelsea player can you see there now that has that kind of leadership? So just go there, take them apart 3-0. And I think Archie Gray should play instead of Moani, because I don't see what Moani contributes. I'd rather put Archie Gray there.
Leigh, did you give a score prediction?
I didn't. I'm going to be really expansive and go 0-0.
You're all brave giving score predictions. I haven't got a clue.
Oh, come on, give us one at least. You make us do it all the damn time.
I don't know. I didn't make you. It's your
You
choice.
always make us. I'm on this podcast every bloody week, bruv. You make me do it all the time.
You said 4-1. I didn't even ask.
Do me a favor. Now you don't ask.
Right. Is there anything else that any of you would like to add that we haven't spoken about this evening?
Oh, mate, no. Let's do it. Let's get some rest, boys and girls, and let's recover from this. But look, man. Like we say, we're in it. It's in our hands. Let's go for it. Are you going to Chelsea, Chris?
Of course.
You are, right? Good luck, my friend. My friend. I'm praying for you as well.
I'm praying for these last two games. Yeah, honestly.
Chris, what was the feeling from the crowd as you left? Did they feel like, I mean, obviously disappointed, but did it feel deflated to the point that, would they even show up for the next few games, or were they determined to, like, we've got to show up, support the boys, and get us through this?
Like I said, Dustin, earlier, the crowd have been absolutely brilliant, regardless of some of our results this season, particularly in the last couple of months, especially under Igor Tudor. The fans have not given up. The fans continue to support this club, support this team, support the manager in the dugout. And, they deserve a lot of credit. They really do. But yeah, a lot of people felt deflated today. But you can see it both ways. And I think that we've had that good mix and that good balance on this podcast today, because yes, we're all deflated, and yes, we're all a little bit disappointed the fact that we didn't get over the line, because we know that we needed to win this game to put huge pressure on West Ham. But on the other point, we are still in control. But we do have to go to Chelsea and get a result, especially if West Ham get a result at Newcastle United. So, like I asked Leigh earlier, they play on Sunday and we play on the Tuesday. So there will be that spell of 48 hours, depending on what their result has been, to then going into this big game against Chelsea. So, but I've been saying for the past month that I think it's going to go all the way to the very end of the campaign. But I tell you what, we need to win. We need to win these final two games to guarantee safety and never be in this position again, because this has been a very, very, very hard season. Ricky, as per usual, thank you so much for your time this evening. We're now into the early hours of the morning here in England. Thanks for your input today. Tell everyone about the podcast, Tea Talk and Tottenham, and where they can find it, and also what you're up to at the moment. Can you tell us any good news?
Well, yes, Tea Talk and Tottenham episode 14 is out right now. If you want to check it out with myself and the Heartman, put Tea Talk and Tottenham, all one word, no spaces, no commas, no nothing, just all one word into YouTube, and you will find us. The last pod was actually a positive pod because it was back-to-back wins. So check it out. Loads of jokes in there. And it was a good one, actually. So yeah. And thank you for checking it out. For those that have already, bless you. Love every time. Yes, bro, I'm keeping super busy. So I'm doing gigs around the UK at the minute. There is a new role, but I can't say anything about it. I actually got clocked today. I got a message from a friend of mine on Instagram saying, "Oh, are you doing this?" And I was like, "How the hell do you know that?" Do you know what I mean? But so some way, shape, or form is getting out there at the minute. But as soon as I can share it with you all, I will. And guaranteed by the end of the season, I'll be able to share it with you all and let you know what I'll be up to and where I will be for the summer. So, yes, I will keep you informed. But yeah, my friend, always an honor and a pleasure being on, regardless of the result. It's always great to be in this Tottenham family, this Tottenham community with yourself, Leigh and Dustin, and all you beautiful fans around the world. So let's keep going. Let's keep believing, and we'll crack on to the next one. And just remember, miracles do happen. Come on, you Spurs.
Absolutely. And it does sound that if you Google Ricky Norwood, you might find out a little bit more. If someone
Is that what's happening? Is that what happened?
If someone else knows about it, it must be out there somewhere. So I didn't tell anyone to Google Ricky Norwood and new role.
Goodness.
So, yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Well, whatever you're doing, Ricky, good. Well, I know what you're doing, so good luck.
Thank you. my only I'll let you know what it is a bit later. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Well, am I meant to know? Do I know?
No, of course you do. I was trying to make a joke saying my OnlyFans starts, but yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. That was just a joke. Yeah. We've had enough nightmares. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Leigh, thank you so much for joining us again. Always such a great guest with great insights, etc. Where can people find you if you want them to?
You can find me on Instagram, MC Leigh. Lovely to be back on. Sorry we didn't get the win, but it, as Dustin said, it's therapy. I don't want to rub it in. I'm going to Miami next week for my wife's birthday.
Fantastic.
So I'll be watching the game on my phone under a sun lounger, looking horrendous probably. But I'll keep an eye on it. But thanks for having me back.
Pleasure. Thank you so much, Leigh. And after this season, I could do with a holiday as well. Dustin, thank you so much for all of your input as always. And, you do produce some fantastic videos for us on this channel. So thank you so much for all of your input throughout this season for us. Where can people find you?
You can find me on X at Luminar Come On You Spurs. That's over here. And then the video that I've just done is on the playlist that's here. And that's on your channel, which is a video about De Zerbi's first 4 games where I look at the underlying statistics and basically analyze what he's doing that's different from Tudor and Frank and what the trajectory of it should be. Spoiler, we're doing a lot better now. We didn't do that well this game, but I think that given the injuries and everything, it's upwards and onwards from there.
And I take it was a joke, you analysing Ricky Norwood top.
Does that keeper was a bit funny, wasn't he? He was a bit.
Hey, listen, that was Robo keeper.
I do have the slide. I do have the slide with top bins in it.
You don't.
I do.
Where is it?
Slides. Just put in.
You are kidding me. This one?
No, not this one. The other one. The one of the other ones. The other one.
Goodness.
The other one.
The other one?
Yeah, the other one. There we go.
There you go. There's Matisse's. There's Matisse's top bins. All right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But you haven't put Ricky's one on there.
No. Leave it.
No,
leave
I just leave the top bins reference for Ricky.
There we go. All right.
You
can find it.
I thought it dissected your top bins.
Oh my! Maybe end of the season. All right. Maybe we'll get Dustin to do an end of the season deep dive on Norwood's top bins. You know.
Ricky, Leigh, Dustin, thank you so much for your time. And as Ricky said, miracles do happen. And we don't need a miracle right now. We just need to win 2 football matches. And we are capable of doing so, particularly with the form that Chelsea are in. But as we've already mentioned a couple of times during this show, 1 win in 36 years in the Premier League at Stamford Bridge is not good enough. We need to do so much better. We need to go to Chelsea, go to Stamford Bridge, get the 3 points, and also beat Everton on the final day of the season. Thank you, as always, for all of your support. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a good week, and we will see you Tuesday week after the Chelsea game. Actually, I won't be there. I'll be at the game. I'll be travelling back. I won't be on the podcast that evening. And Ricky has dodged this one as well. So, Craig, Dearman, good luck. Let's hope let's hope he's talking about a win. Have a good week, everyone, and we will see you again soon. Stay safe and well. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on.
Come on, you Spurs.